Join me in welcoming author Bena Hartman for a conversation about her book, Jasmine Can, Creating Self-Confidence and the Importance of Read-alouds in the Classroom. Whether you are a struggling reader or a teacher, Jasmine Can, Creating Self-Confidence will inspire you. This book provides hope that becoming a better reader is possible if you are willing to take a risk. Bena, please share with us the story behind Jasmine Can.
When I was volunteering in my daughter's third grade class one morning, her teacher and I had a conversation about the challenges many children face today in reading. After listening to her talk, I thought to myself, these were the same concerns I faced as a teacher 22 years ago. Not much had changed. When I got home, I decided to write a book, Jasmine Can, to highlight a child's experience in learning how to read based on my childhood memories of learning how to read and my experiences as a classroom teacher.
Jasmine Can has been described as a wonderful tool for teachers and students. How can teachers use this story to inspire children in their classroom?
Teachers can use Jasmine Can for many literature activities such as read-aloud, storytelling experience, a paired read experience, a choral reading, a book talk, various pre-reading writing strategies such as story impression, and it can be compared and contrasted to other children's literature with a similar theme, such as Thank You, Mr. Bulger by Patricia Polaco. Teachers can use both stories to inspire children in their classroom to become better readers. It can also be used as a springboard to talk about issues in their students' lives unrelated to reading. For example, it can be used to encourage children to do their best during a sporting or musical event. I like to use the phrase, if Jasmine can, you can too. The sky's the limit on the use of Jasmine Can.
What inspires you to write?
First and foremost, what inspires me to write are my personal experiences. Things that I think about, meditate about, things that I question, but may not know the answer to, things that I have ideas about. I'm inspired by the songs I hear, things I see, smell, touch, and dream about. I'm also inspired by everyday conversations I have with people like my husband, my children, and even the interactions I have with my dog, Shadow. Other things that inspire me to write are the things that I read. In other words, if I'm not reading, I'm not writing, because what I read informs what I write.
What are you currently writing?
I'm currently writing 3 stories. The first is called A Change in September, which I wrote after I read The Watchings of Birmingham 1963 by Christopher Paul Curtis. The second story is called Serendipity Tags Along, and it's about a little girl who goes to work with her grandfather, who's a family doctor. I got the idea to write this story from my childhood experience of going on house calls with my dad, Charles Hasman, who was a family practitioner. Third story is called I Love When Mama Reads to Me, and it's a heartwarming story that will describe how a warm, fuzzy animal like love being read to by her mama.
I know teachers reading aloud to me fostered my love of reading. How important is it for teachers to invest the time needed for frequent read-alouds in the context of the current standards and assessment movement?
You as the teachers, I did too. I think it's very important for teachers to invest time for frequent read-aloud experiences, and they can do so by systematically placing literature at the core of reading instruction, and at the same time, use the standards as a guide to orchestrate effective and appropriate read-aloud experiences for children. Because of the overemphasis we place on reading competencies and assessment, I think it's important to emphasize all the pleasure that literature offers, and to use read-alouds as a way to promote a love of reading, as you mentioned your teachers did, to motivate children to read. We need to foster a love of reading and not overly value competencies, drills, and assessment to assist children in becoming independent readers, writers, and thinkers.
Share with us some ways read-alouds influence children's literacy development.
Read-alouds influence children's literacy development in many ways, and it's well documented that read-alouds help children acquire real-world knowledge, which is essential for success in school overall. But specific to literacy development, children develop an enthusiasm for reading through read-alouds. Read-alouds help children construct messages about their cultures and roles in society, because literature offers children personal stories and a view of cultural surroundings. Read-alouds also nurture and expand children's oral language development and comprehension skills through a sense of story structure. A final reason read-alouds expand children's prior knowledge and influence children's writing because they reflect what they hear in their writing. Read-alouds essentially allow children to behave like an author, and that's powerful.
Who are the people and ideas that have influenced your work? And what does the scholarly work suggest about children's response to literature?
There are many and ideas that have influenced my work over the years. First, in terms of what the scholarly work suggests how children respond to literature, I followed the work of colleagues like Rick Beach and Larry Seif. Larry died recently in 2011, left us with a rich body of evidence that suggests children respond to literature in 5 ways: analytical, intertextual, personal, transparent, and performative. A personal response, for example, is when they respond to either text or a life-to-text experience or a text-to-life experience. A transparent response, for example, is when they become one with the story. A performative response is when they use the story as a springboard to talk about other issues in their lives. When I wrote my first chapter book, Isabel Beck and Marty McEwen's book on questioning the author, 2006, very useful. I literally envisioned myself as a teacher asking the questions they suggest to ask while I wrote the book, and this was a very powerful tool. I've also been influenced by many scholars over the years, such as Byron Harris, Arlette Williams, Rudy Sims Bishop, John McNair. They help bring a sense of clarity and understanding and awareness to my work on African American children's literature. I've enjoyed reading books by Christopher Paul Curtis, Patricia Polacco, Catherine Patterson over the years. I've also been influenced by the writing style of my husband, Doug Hartman, a professor at Michigan State University, who directs an educational research center there. I think he's a great writer, and I've learned a lot about how to write watching him.
Bena, what are some practices or strategies teachers should consider when reading aloud to students?
When reading aloud to students, teachers should, first and foremost, schedule a read aloud daily. Reading daily communicates that reading is a valued activity. Model good oral reading behaviors. Children learn about prosody while they read, so read fluently, expressively, with intonation. Select well-written, high-quality stories of all genres, including poetry, informational, and multicultural books. Decide how you will hold the book to share illustration. Discuss the textual features of books, the end pages, the front pages. Discussions of these terms tribute to their aesthetic appreciation and engagement of the book, and they're also the prelude to the story. Build background knowledge and interest in books. Know the types of questions you want to ask before you ask them. The questions you ask are important because it says a lot about the kinds of knowledge that you think your children possess. And above all, never underestimate the power of a read aloud.
Wise words. Thank you, Bena, for visiting with me today and sharing about your wonderful book and enlarging our thinking on read-alouds in the classroom. For more information about Jasmine Can, creating self-confidence, visit Bena Hartman's website at www.benahartmanbooks.com.
Thank you.
Thank you.